Madison was working super hard on a makeup tutorial show. She was teaching smoky eyes to folks out there who really wanted to know when some freaky deaky science stuff only understood by nerds zapped her into old radio shows, the kind you might never have heard. Now she should probably be trying to get out, but Madison, she's having fun, living an old-time radio life. Our explanation is done.
Madison is on the air.
The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Thank you for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. I know Dr. Watson's waiting for us, so let's go in and join him.
Yeah?
Dr. Watson? Your audience is here. May we please come in?
Dr. Watson isn't here. You want to leave a message?
Usually this time every week, Dr. Watson tells us a tale of his adventures with Sherlock Holmes.
Uh-huh. So who should I say stop by?
He's really not here?
Nope.
He, told us last week that tonight's story centered around the activities of a brilliant and beautiful woman.
If that's your way of asking me to tell you a story, oh, all right. You talked me into it. Come on in.
And you are?
Madison Standish. I've been watching the Watsons' place while they're out of town. Here, let me move some of this stuff so you can sit down. Do you know somebody leaves a newspaper every single day on the front step?
Yes.
Between that and the air quality from those smokestacks, I'm guessing London doesn't believe in going green.
Are you all right?
I'm talking fast, aren't I? I realize that. I might have had a few espressos.
Maybe you should sit down.
Nah, I'm good. Feels good to pace. Pacing helps me think.
So, the story you were going to share with us.
Yeah, right, okay. So there's this woman named Irene Adler, but Sherlock always called her the woman.
She sounds intriguing.
It's intriguing that Sherlock Holmes reduced a woman's identity to just the woman.
Did I say intriguing? I meant, how did you happen to meet up with her?
Okay, funny story. It was just starting to get dark, and I was heading back here after having been in this little cafe all day. They had this super retro espresso machine. It was like steam-powered and from, I don't know, Italy. I tried to order a mocha latte, but I guess 1888, it's still too early for that. So I just had like 10 double espressos, and FYI, espresso in the 1880s is mega strong.
You sure you're all right?
No, it's cool. I'm good. Hey, do you want some espresso? I could totally go for some espresso.
No, that's fine. I'm fine.
Okay, so I'm walking home, totally wired, and I end up going past Sherlock Holmes's place.
You couldn't resist stopping by 221B, I'm sure.
No, I was lost. I tried to get one of those little British cabs. They're all horse-drawn here. Isn't that adorbs? But they don't accept Venmo.
So you were passing Holmes's place?
Right. I looked up in the window and saw him silhouetted against the blinds. We're talking pipe, funny hat, the whole cliche.
So you were curious what he was up to, so you knocked upon his door.
No, I figured if anyone could give me cab fare, it was him.
Oh.
So next thing I know, I'm in his living room.
No, I don't have Venmo. Just pay me when you can.
Thanks, Sherlock. You were doing me a solid.
At any rate, I don't believe you intend to repay your debt to me.
What? No. I totes will pay you back. Why would you even say that?
Elementary, my dear Madison. A woman who announces she's staying in Dr. Watson's flat while he's away, firstly, needs the income from the caretaker position, and secondly, has no permanent residence of her own, so that she is unencumbered when requested to perform that service.
Well...
Thirdly, she finds her purse so light of coin that she must beg for money from someone she just met.
Yeah, but...
Fourthly, add her cheaply constructed wardrobe, obvious costume jewelry, and harlot-painted face.
Hey!
I should be dull indeed if I didn't pronounce her in dire need of funds.
I guess I'll leave you then. I didn't mean to bother you.
Yes, by all accounts, you did intend to bother me, but it's a most welcome interruption.
It is?
I have just begun working on a new case. This letter arrived by the last post today. It's undated and has neither signature nor address.
What, you think it's spam or something?
On such occasions as these, Dr. Watson would aid my investigation. Why don't you have a look?
Okay. There will call upon you tonight at 7:45 a gentleman who desires to consult you upon a matter of the very deepest moment. Ugh, this reads like Dickens. Did this guy get paid by the word?
Continue.
Your recent services to one of the royal houses of Europe have shown that you are one who may safely be trusted. Ooh, royalty? Tell me it's Prince Harry and Meghan.
Be it at all possible for you to read something without taking pause for your own annotation?
I can't understand you. British English and American English must be way different.
Finish the letter.
Be in your chamber, then, at that hour, and do not take it amiss if your visitor wears a mask. Mask? OMG, do you guys have COVID here too? Should we be 6 foot distancing?
By your reaction to the word mask, I can only deduce that you have no idea the definition of the word mask.
Is there a deadly virus or not?
There are always viruses, and some will most certainly result in death.
Is there a plague? I'm asking if right here, right now, there is a plague.
Not in London since cholera invaded the East End.
Is that a yes or a no?
At the current moment in time, it is a no.
The convoluted way you talk makes me want to punch Sir Arthur Conan Doyle right in the neck.
If we may turn our attention back to the note in question, the paper used for this letter is strong and stiff. What does that tell you?
The guy who wrote it ripped off the good stuff from the copy room at work?
You are certainly on to something.
Seriously?
Hold it up to the light. Do you see the lettering?
Oh, yeah. There's a large E with a small g. Ooh, and a large G with a small t. How'd they do that? Is that a watermark? That is so cool.
What does that suggest to you?
The guy used some sort of laser printer?
The G with the small t stands for Gesellschaft, which is the German word for company. See, you were correct when you said this paper came from a place of business.
Okay.
And the E and the G stands for Igria, a German-speaking country in Bohemia, not far from Carlsbad. Thereby deducing that the paper was made in Bohemia, and the man who wrote the note is a German.
Let's admit it right now. I'm gonna be dead weight on this case.
That must be my mystery client.
I should go.
My dear lady, by all means, stay. This promises to be interesting. Come in. Good evening, sir.
Oh, a masquerade party mask! This British English really creates a language barrier.
You received my note?
Yes, indeed. Come in, won't you, and sit down. This is my friend and colleague, Madison Standish.
Sup?
You may say anything before her that you can say to me. Whom have I the honor to address?
You may address me as Count von Kram.
Oh no, the door von crammed, and now we're von trapped. Oh, sorry. The Sound of Music hasn't come out yet. Trust me, when it does, that joke will kill.
You must excuse this mask that I wear. The person who employs me wishes his agent to be unknown to you. The matter I am about to discuss implicates the great House of Ormstein, hereditary kings of Bohemia.
I was well aware of that, sir. In fact, if you will state your case, I shall be better able to advise you, Your Majesty.
How did you...
Wait, this dude's royalty?
Yes, I am the king. I shall remove the mask. There.
Nice job, Sherlock. You'd be a kick-ass judge on The Masked Singer.
Mr. Holmes, I have traveled incognito from Prague for the express purpose of consulting you. Briefly, the facts are these. Some 5 years ago, during a visit to Warsaw, I made the acquaintance of the well-known adventuress Irene Adler.
Irene Adler? Look her up for me, will you, Madison?
Sure, I can look her up on Wiki. What's your Wi-Fi password?
Perhaps try the index. It's right beside my desk.
Where? I don't see anything.
It's the large book that says index on it.
You didn't tell me I was looking for a book. Jeez.
Just hand it to me, will you? Thank you. Here we are. Irene Adler, born in New Jersey in the United States of America in 1858, contralto, prima donna.
They actually call her a prima donna in there? Who put out that book, TMZ?
She was the prima donna of the Imperial Opera of Warsaw.
What's the tea? Did she pull a Paltrow?
She was the leading female opera singer there. Now retired from operatic stage and living in London.
Yes, that is the woman of which I refer.
Your Majesty, as I understand, became entangled with this young person and wrote her some compromising letters, and is now desirous of getting those letters back?
Precisely so.
Ooh, sex scandal. Now we're talking.
Was there a secret marriage?
None.
No legal papers or certificates?
No.
Then I fail to follow, Your Majesty. If this young lady should produce her letters for blackmailing purposes, how is she to prove their authenticity?
There is handwriting.
Forgery.
It was on my private notepaper.
Stolen.
There was a photograph.
Photoshopped. What, am I not allowed to play too?
We were both in the photograph.
That is so easy to do. I have a collection of me on the red carpet with celebrities like Zac Efron and Chris Hemsworth. Of course, Chris is in his Thor costume because, yum.
Mr. Holmes, the photograph must be recovered.
Maybe if you, I don't know, hadn't cheated on your wife, you wouldn't have to try to cover it up.
He's unmarried.
Fiancé?
No.
Yes.
Yes?
No.
Yes, I am about to be married to the second daughter of the King of Scandinavia.
Douche nozzle.
I met Miss Edler before I was betrothed. But my fiancée, she is the very soul of delicacy. A shadow of a doubt as to my conduct would bring the matter to an end.
Perhaps if you were to pay enough, the photo might be bought.
She refuses to sell.
What's the point of buying it? If she saved it to the cloud, it'll be there forever.
And 5 unsuccessful attempts have been made to steal it. None of my men were even able to find it.
Okay, the cloud isn't a place. Dude, you guys are old.
And the woman threatens to send the photographs to your fiancé, I suppose.
Yes, and she will do it. Rather than let me marry another woman, there are no lengths to which she will not go. None.
The only reason Fatal Attraction ever happens is because you guys can't keep it in your pants.
She said she would send it on the day my betrothal is publicly announced. That day will be next Monday.
Splendid. Then we still have 3 days. Your Majesty will, of course, stay in London for the present.
Yes, certainly. You will find me at the Langham Hotel, registered as Count von Kram.
There are so many jokes there. It's just picking the right one.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Good night, and I trust that we shall soon have some good news for you.
I am placing all my hopes in you, Mr. Holmes. Good night.
Well, have fun with that.
Do you not care to assist me with this case, Madison?
Yeah, let me help you cover up for a womanizing monarch so some poor princess can get suckered into marrying him. Thanks, no thanks.
Perhaps you should look more closely at what you just said.
I'm about to have a major caffeine crash. No puzzles, just tell me.
Monarch, princess, you know it has been my experience that when we favorably serve royalty, we are handsomely rewarded.
You think I'm going to put money above my morals?
How much is Dr. Watson paying you to care for his flat?
2 farthing.
Are you familiar with British currency?
Why? How much is that? I thought it was like $20.
Try 1/2 penny.
He's paying me half a penny?
Shall I see you here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Yes, but you're definitely not getting your cab fare back. Morning, Sherlock.
Can I deduce you failed to wind your watch before retiring last evening?
Wind? It's an Apple Watch.
Perhaps you have yet to glance at the hour. It is far from morning.
Sorry, but I think jumping between these old-timey radio shows has given me jet lag.
At any rate, this morning I was able to examine Bryony Lodge, where the woman resides, but unfortunately, my investigation did not prove illuminating.
Okay, so what do we do now?
I think a visit to the local public house might prove more instructive.
Public house? A pub? And I thought you were going to be all stuffy and British. Let's hit it, Shirley.
Firstly, we should don disguises so as not to cause any suspicion. Secondly, don't call me Shirley.
Disguises? Ooh, this is really some old-school detective stuff. Okay, what do we get to disguise ourselves as?
The pub I have in mind is located in a horsey neighborhood.
Horsey? Did you just say horsey?
Indeed, horsey.
Not equestrian, but horsey.
I fail to comprehend where your confusion lies.
I'm confused why the world's most brilliant detective sounds like a 5-year-old seeing his first merry-go-round.
In answer to your original question, we will be disguising ourselves as a couple of stable hands. There's a wonderful sympathy and Freemasonry among their fraternity.
Freemasons? Wait, time out. Weren't they the bad guys in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes? They sacrifice virgins. I can't go in there. Well, for other reasons.
I merely refer to these hard-working men as laborers of their craft.
Yeah, witchcraft.
Perhaps I shall do all the talking.
Well, what'll it be, mateys?
Half a bowl of malt, please. How about you, Charlie?
I'll take a spot of that, governor. Pretty good, right? I was in the ensemble of my high school production of Oliver.
There we are, mates. That'll be a tenner.
Have a drink of us, Governor?
Don't mind if I do. I'll have a Guinness.
Ooh, can I change my order? I'd rather have a Guinness. Governor?
You blokes new round here?
Yeah, that's right. We was told that Miss Adler across at Bryony Lodge needed a coachman and groom. We thought we'd find out something about the old girl first.
She ain't no old girl, matey. She's the prettiest young thing you ever saw under a bonnet. And that's a fact.
Word is, she's a bit of a slut.
You'd be spreading lies like that. I used to drive a carriage.
I bet you did.
She'd be as nice a little lady as you'll ever find, chum.
No disrespect, Mighty. But it'd be true enough she ain't married then, eh?
No. But she got a bloke that comes to see her all the time. He's a barrister. Nice gentleman. Mr. Geoffrey Norton is his name. Good-looking fella. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get spliced.
Come on, Charlie, let's go over to the house and see what's what.
But I'm not done with my Guinness.
No time, mate, unless you can down it lickety-split.
Challenge accepted.
He sure knows his way around a Guinness.
College ain't only about book learning, am I right? Ooh, excuse me.
Come on then, time's a wasting. Much obliged to you, chum.
Good luck, mateys.
And good luck to you too, governor. Dude, that bartender was super helpful, wasn't he? Like, lucky we ran into him, right?
Indeed, Madison. Now, let's stroll back to Bryony Lodge, shall we? I'm undecided whether to continue my investigations there or to try and find out something about Mr. Geoffrey Norton, the barrister.
You know, cobblestone streets are all super cute until you have to walk on them in heels.
Why ever are you wearing high-heeled shoes? You're dressed as a stable boy.
You told me Cockney, so I'm giving you Eddie Izzard realness.
If Norton is just her lawyer and nothing else, it's more than likely that she's entrusted the photograph to his safekeeping.
Whoops! I almost fell down there. No worries. I've got years of training being drunk in high heels.
Hello. There's a cab waiting outside Miss Adler's house.
Oh, thank God. I really didn't want to have to walk much farther.
Quickly, Madison, it may be Mr. Norton's.
Slow down! These are Jimmy Choo's.
Here comes a man hurrying down the pathway. Quick, behind this post.
You don't need to push.
Quiet.
Where to now, Mr. Norton?
Drive like the devil to the Church of St. Monica. Half a sovereign if you do it in 20 minutes.
Is half a sovereign good?
It's half a pound.
Right you are, Mr. Norton. Up in.
A pound is basically $1, right?
More or less.
So 50 cents is a good tip?
Yes, Madison, it is. Consider the fact that it will take you a full week working for Dr. Watson to earn half a penny.
He really is jipping me, isn't he?
Quickly, Madison, try and signal a cab. We must follow Norton.
Ooh, really? Follow that cab?
Here comes one. No, wait. It's a private carriage. Miss Adler's, no doubt.
Is that her coming out of the front door?
Back again behind the post, Madison.
Ow! Cut that out!
Quiet!
You be quiet.
Where to, Miss Adler?
The Church of St. Monica. And there's half a sovereign if you can reach it in 20 minutes.
No wonder there's so much pollution. They're going to the same place. Haven't you people ever heard of rideshare?
The game's afoot. Quick, we must get a cab and follow them. Here comes a hansom.
Ooh, a handsome what? Dude, that's a horse. Oh, horsey. Sherlock here's got himself a little fetish.
Cabby! Hey, cabby!
Have you blokes got enough money to take a cab?
The Church of St. Monica. There's half a sovereign if you reach it in 20 minutes.
Right you are.
Are you presuming I have half a sovereign?
Are you presuming it will be my problem if you don't?
Well, Madison, this is an exciting story.
I know, right? Do you want some espresso? I could get you some espresso.
No, as I said before, I'm fine.
This stuff is so addictive. In the 1880s, did you guys put cocaine in espresso like you did in Coca-Cola?
Not to my knowledge.
You know what? I don't even care. This stuff is bomb.
You were telling us about following Miss Adler to the church. Did you and Sherlock Holmes reach that church inside the 20 minutes?
Oh, yeah, Totes got there in like 15. But those other guys got in there before us. I mean, they left before us, so naturally they got there before us. Dude, is your heart beating super fast? Mine is beating super fast.
Perhaps you need a break.
Nah, I'm good. So then Sherlock went into the church and told me to guard the outside. Guard? Like what? I have a gun and can be all, hark, who goes there? I mean, seriously, right?
What happened then? Did you see Mr. Norton or Miss Adler?
Oh, yeah. They came out at about 10 minutes after that, spoke a few words to each other, I couldn't hear what, and then took off separately. That's when Sherlock came out.
Madison! Have they left?
Yeah, and they took separate cabs again, so I assume they're going to the same place.
Splendid. Then come on. We can return to Baker Street.
Dude, what about a cab? Can't we get a cab?
Of course we shall. Do you see a hansom?
I'm not sure. I really don't know your type.
There's one.
Oh, okay. So you like them, what, gray and speckled?
Where to, Governor?
221B Baker Street.
So what happened in the church?
They were married.
Seriously?
Of course I'm serious. Why would I not be serious?
I have no response to that.
The marriage accounts for their wild dash to the church. The ceremony would have been illegal if performed afternoon.
Illegal? Why?
It's the law.
That's stupid. It makes no sense.
Indeed. It's the law.
Okay, I'm totes mixed up on this whole thing. I thought Irene was blackmailing the King guy over the photo because she was mad he dumped her and didn't want any other woman to have him. But now she's run off and gotten married to some other dude? What's up with that?
In this case, the woman's modus operandi is not transparent, but our task at hand is simple and unrelated. We must acquire the photograph. Come along, Madison. I think the time is right for us to come to a closer grips with the lady.
Can we get something to eat first? I think I'm feeling a little buzzed from that Guinness. Dude, Mrs. Hudson makes a mean minced pie. I'm deadly serious.
While you finish up, I shall proceed with applying the makeup for my new disguise.
Makeup? Dude, I have a makeup blog! I was also supposed to have a makeup podcast, but, well, here we are. Come on, you gotta let me help you.
I suppose you may. I was planning on donning the appearance of an amiable, simple-minded, nonconformist clergyman.
Uh-huh. I'm thinking softening the sharp cheekbones and maybe going with a rose-based foundation.
I must look welcoming so that I may be granted admittance by the woman into her home.
Not a problem. Now, what am I going as?
Madison, you will remain out front.
Is that all Dr. Watson does, is stand around outside while you go inside and do stuff? Like a dog tied to a bike rack while its owner goes in the grocery store?
You have a vital role to play outside the premises.
Yeah? How vital?
My entire plan hinges upon it.
Okay, so what am I supposed to do?
As soon as I am able to, I shall open one of the windows. You will be watching from the outside. When I raise my hand, you will throw an object that I shall give you through the window, and at the same time cry, "Fire!" You follow me?
What am I gonna throw? A Molotov cocktail? Are we burning her house down?
Certainly not. Our intention is to create the illusion her home is ablaze. You will throw an ordinary plumber's smoke rocket.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but it sounds dirty.
Plumbers use it to test their pipes.
Still sounds dirty.
That notwithstanding, as soon as I've donned my clerical attire, let us be on our way. There's no time to be lost.
I still need a disguise.
Why don't you attempt to disguise yourself as someone who is helpful?
Ooh, scorch. Burn on Madison. You sure she's supposed to be home by 6:30?
That's what she indicated at the church.
How are you going to find the photo in her house anyway? It could literally be anywhere in there.
During the time I was waiting for you to finally arrive this morning.
Thank you for not dwelling on that.
I'd gotten word from the king that he'd forgotten to mention that the photo was actually quite large and framed.
She framed the blackmail photo?
Precisely.
Okay, but didn't the king's guys already try to steal it, but, they couldn't find it?
They didn't know how to look. Here comes the carriage now. Madison, get yourself out of sight.
Wait, there's a couple nasty-looking dudes walking up to her carriage.
Conceal yourself, post-haste.
Blimey, Patrick. Here comes the Duchess of Tiddlywinks.
Yeah, Auntie, let's put out the carpet. She might get her tootsies wet.
Please, let me through. I live here.
Well, ain't that nice? We'll all come in and have a cup of cocoa.
Those guys are harassing her. We gotta do something.
Madison, wait.
No, screw you, Sherlock. Too many people stand by and watch when a woman is being threatened or attacked. Jeez, what kind of detective are you?
Come back!
Get out of the way! Let her through!
Mind your own business.
Yeah, keep your nose out of it.
Make me.
Please, don't fight about it.
Don't worry, girl. I got your back.
Stop molesting the lady.
Oh, now he shows up.
How would you like a biff on the nose, Mr. Clergyman?
Just 'cause your collar's turned the wrong way round, you can't spoil our fun.
Of course he can spoil your fun. He's from the church. That's what they do.
Madison, please, this is getting dangerous.
No shit, Sherlock.
You asked for it, Parson.
You almost hit him. You douche nozzle.
What? Stop that, Alfie. You're hitting a woman.
No, I'm not. She's hitting me.
Madison, restrain yourself.
It is not okay to treat women like objects.
Madison! Ow!
She hit the clergyman.
Let's get out of here.
You elbowed him in the nose. Clergyman, are you badly hurt?
Oh, crap. He's bleeding all over.
I'll have my manservant bring him inside. Robert, come out here, quickly.
Dude, Sherlock, I am so sorry.
Just get to the window and wait for my signal.
OMG, this reminds me of the time when I
No
was...
time for your anecdotal retellings of your past escapades. Just go!
Again, so sorry.
Here, Robert, bring him inside at once.
You actually hit Sherlock Holmes and left him bleeding in the street?
Hey, I felt bad about it, but looking back, he shouldn't have gotten into the middle of that fight. It really was his own fault.
What happened to Holmes's plan? The window and the smoke rocket?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. Come on, Sherlock, give me the signal. Oh, geez. What if he has a concussion or something? What if he's laying in there unconscious? What if I killed frickin' Sherlock Holmes? There he is! There's a signal. That's kind of far for me to throw. I should have warmed up first. I don't know what that's going to do to my rotator cuff. Well, now he's waving like a deranged paparazzi trying to get J-Lo's attention. Yeah, I see you. All right, here goes nothing. Ah! Fire!
Madison!
Where the hell did you just come from?
The rouse worked. She showed me the photograph.
Wait a minute, your nose. You're not bleeding.
There's no mystery, my dear, although you nearly foiled my plan before it began.
What?
It were my accomplices who started the row in the street. You might have recognized Artie and Patrick as the cabbies we hired earlier this afternoon.
That was all part of your plan?
Indeed, I had a little moist red paint in my hand. Alfie was to pretend to strike me, and then I would clap my hand to my head and fall down. It's an old trick, but then you actually struck me, albeit merely a graze, and I simply played up the theatrics of the moment to keep my plan on track.
Why the hell didn't you tell me that was part of the plan?
As you may recall, I'd asked you multiple times to conceal yourself from the activity.
Still...
And I certainly wasn't expecting you to participate in the brawl yourself.
Yeah, well, you clearly don't know me.
At any rate, your genuine reaction to the fight helped to convince the woman of my injury.
You're welcome.
Come with me, Madison. We must see the king at once.
But you didn't get the picture.
That's why I had you throw the smoke rocket and shout fire. When a woman thinks her house is on fire, her instinct is to rush for the one thing that she values most. In this case, of course, it was the photograph.
So why didn't you just grab it?
It would have been far too suspicious after the row. Come with me. I've instructed Artie to wait with his cab around the corner for us, and I do believe you owe him an apology.
I did kind of mess him up, didn't I? But I think you owe him an apology, too, for not letting me in on this whole plan.
He certainly deserves more than the half-sovereign I promised him.
Yeah, at least give him a whole $1.
I am all impatience. You are certain the photograph will still be there, Mr. Holmes?
I have every reason to believe so, Your Majesty.
I still think he should just come clean to the princess. Never a good idea to start a marriage off on a bed of lies.
You would have your future husband openly tell you about all of his bachelor escapades?
I won't have to. That's what social media is for.
I must confess, this is going to be something of an ordeal.
Then I suggest that you let me do the talking, Your Majesty. I think I know how to handle the lady.
Handle The last guy who said he could handle me ended up in a ball on the floor of the walk-in freezer with a bag of frozen onion rings on his crotch.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I believe.
Yes, I am Mr. Holmes, but how did you know?
Me mistress told me you would be likely to call. She's left for the continent with her husband.
Which continent?
She means she's left England.
Never to return.
Sends a photograph.
Do come in. She said you'd be looking for something. I hope you find it.
I do know where to find it. Come with me. This was the bell rope. Sliding panel behind it. Ah, here it is.
That is so cool! Way better place to hide your stash than in the toilet tank.
Is the photograph there, Mr. Holmes?
There is a photograph, Your Majesty, but it's a photograph of the lady alone. Here's a letter, and it's addressed to me. My dear Mr. Sherlock Holmes, you really did it very well. Until after the fire alarm, I had no suspicion, but then when I realized how I had betrayed myself, I began to think. I had been warned that if the king employed an agent, he would certainly employ you. May I congratulate you on your disguise as a dear old clergyman.
Oh, snap! She totes figured you out. Tell me again, Sherlock, how good you are at handling women.
Yeah, go on. What else does it say?
As to the photograph of the king and myself, His Majesty may be rest assured that I will take no further action. I love and am loved by a better man than he. I leave another photograph, however, that he might care to possess. Very truly yours, Irene Norton, Nee Adler.
Fierce! Definitely top-ranking breakup letter of all time.
What a woman, Madison. What a magnificent woman. She fooled me completely.
Too bad she's already married.
But I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I've been unable to bring your business to a more successful conclusion.
On the contrary, my dear sir, nothing could be more successful. I know that Irene's word is inviolate. I am immensely indebted to you. Pray tell me, in what way I can reward you?
Money. Lots of money.
This beryl ring that I wear, I should be proud to.
Let me see that. That a real emerald? It's ginormous.
Your Majesty has something that I should value even more highly.
Right, yeah. Why stop with one lousy ring?
You have but to name it.
This photograph.
Okay, sure. Let him throw the photograph in too.
That is all I desire.
Really? Great. I'll take the ring, and how much cash you got on you?
Give him back the ring, Madison.
What? You said we'd be handsomely rewarded.
This photo is something I shall treasure all my life. It will remind me that I was once tricked by a woman.
Fabulous. What do you want to keep from me to remind you that you were once punched in the nose by a woman?
Well, Madison, what a woman that Miss Adler was. That's the kind of woman I could really go for. She was intelligent, rich, and beautiful.
That's really your takeaway from this whole story?
The kind of woman you want sitting next to you in front of a cozy fire on a nippy fall night.
She was blackmailing the king, remember? Nearly broke up his marriage to the princess.
What a woman.
Okay, time for you to go.
Wait a moment. Before we go, Dr. Watson usually gives us a hint about next week's story.
Here's a hint. The story is about a bunch of men who think they're brilliant and are absolutely shocked to learn women have brains in their heads. I call it Sherlock Holmes and the Mystery of the Male Ego. This Sherlock Holmes adventure was adapted from the original radio show, which was adapted from the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, A Scandal in Bohemia. A little glimpse into women's rights of the era. The series began in 1939, written exclusively by Edith Meiser, who left the show in 1943 due to disagreements with the sponsor over the amount of violence in the series. Consequently, this episode was written by the male writing team who took over for her. Before the announcer dude reads the credits, I want to thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it if you left a review. And hey, tell me which are your favorite old-time radio shows, and I'll use your suggestions for future episodes. Madison on the Air is listener-supported. For just $3, you can buy me a mocha latte through Ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/MOTA. And for more information about the show and the cast, visit our website at madisonontheair.com. Thanks!
Madison on the Air was written and produced by Chrissy Talon Sage, with music composition and audio engineering by Jeremy Sage. The role of Madison Standish was played by Chrissy Talon Sage. Albert Garnica appeared as Sherlock Holmes. Other actors in the cast were Aaron Stahl as the King, Alexandra Bartley as Irene Adler, Jeremy Sage as Alfie, Henry Graham Murray as Patrick, Tom O'Connor as the bartender, and Steppy Kamei as the maid. I've been your announcer, David Pinion.
Now Madison was working super hard on a makeup tutorial show. She was teaching smoky eyes to folks out there who really wanted to know when some freaky deaky science stuff only understood by nerds zapped her into old radio shows, the kind you might never have heard. Now she should probably be trying to get out, but Madison, she's having fun, living an old-time radio life. Our explanation is done.
Madison is on the air.
The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And now for our weekly visit with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson.
Yeah?
Oh, no.
Hey, I remember you.
Yes. We met last year.
Yeah, I just discovered that cafe with that old-timey espresso machine. Oh, I was so hyped up on caffeine. If Red Bull gives you wings, that stuff gave me a jetpack.
Back house sitting again for Dr. Watson?
Yep, and dog sitting.
Oh dear. Hello, doggies.
You want to come in?
No, I don't want to bother you. Oh my, you do slobber a lot, don't you?
Come on, this time Dr. Watson prepared me for your visit.
Still, maybe it's best if I wait until Dr. Watson returns. Oh, nice doggies. Have you fed them recently?
Dr. Watson wrote down what I should say to start off the story. Come on, sit down.
Well, all right.
Oh, you missed your opening. Once the dogs are on the sofa, they will not budge. They're kind of territorial. I think they miss Dr. Watson and are being super protective of his stuff. The first 2 nights I had to sleep in a chair.
Standing is fine.
Okay, let me read this then. Dr. Watson said it's a recipe for the latest Sherlock Holmes adventure. Hang on, I've been practicing. It's better if you don't make eye contact with them. Okay, take equal parts of beautiful English countryside and black villainy. Mix. Then add a dash of romance, a sprinkling of danger, season well with the usual theatrical condiments, and you have the case of the Accidental Murderess.
Well, that sounds like a tasty dish.
Does it? Because cooking analogies are totes lost on me. The only recipes I ever follow usually say, remove film before putting in microwave.
It was very nice. I said it was nice.
They've got very strong opinions. Don't take them seriously. Remember, they drink out of the toilet.
So, the, story?
Right, yeah. So, Sherlock needed a break, you know? He wanted to go to Stratford-upon-Avon. I thought that sounded like fun, but disappointment. That isn't where they make the lipstick.
It's the home of Shakespeare.
Sure, you're boring. You've heard of it. So, Sherlock wanted to go to a Shakespeare festival there. I thought, why not? I hadn't been to one in forever.
Oh, you're a fan of the theater?
I'm a fan of men in tights. And explain to me this. Why are men in Shakespeare always made fun of for wearing tights, but like Superman does it and he's all badass?
I wouldn't say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have someplace to be? Am I cutting into your licking your own butt hour? Shut up.
Please don't antagonize them.
Anyway, Sherlock and I were taking a walk through a nearby forest when it all started.
Ah, Madison, for once, I wish I were a man of wealth.
So you could afford a better hat?
My dear girl, I am quite pleased by my choice of haberdashery.
Sorry, but that hat is gonna haunt your character for decades. Like joke level, maximum.
Perhaps you are too quickly forgetting the amused glances you yourself have been drawing for the last week.
You said we were going to a Shakespeare festival.
And this prompted you to dress in an elaborate Elizabethan gown.
I thought it was the same thing as Ren Fair. And I always cosplay Lady Indiscretion when I attend the Royal Festival.
You have been formally requested by the festival committee not to speak in that accent.
I'm just trying to have a little fun. First, you bring me to all those Shakespeare plays with no transcripts. Not very inclusive of people who don't speak Old English.
A point you made abundantly clear during Hamlet's every soliloquy.
Then we go see Anne Hathaway's house, and instead of getting my guilty pleasure Princess Diaries fix, I find out it's just the house of some old dead woman.
Shakespeare's wife? Yes.
Snore. And now you're dragging me through this forest on some sort of death march. I'm sweaty, my feet hurt, and this corset is really restricting my breathing.
You had ample opportunity to change out of that gown.
But my boobs look great in this bodice.
Oh dear me, wait a minute. Our path seems to end here. Nothing but dense trees ahead of us.
Then we can go back.
There's another path over there. I think it leads down to the river.
Good. Then I can recreate Act 4, Scene 7, where Ophelia drowns.
Well, and here I thought, with all that snoring coming from your seat, that you hadn't been paying attention.
The redneck locals are shooting at us! They don't want city slickers in their woods.
Madison!
What are you doing lying down? You want to end up like Ned Beatty?
I think the bullet hit my shoulder.
Oh God, you're bleeding! Wait, this isn't like the last time we hung out when you pretended to be bleeding, is it? That brilliant plan of yours with fake blood that you didn't tell me about?
I assure you, my bleeding is in earnest.
So someone's out there shooting at us?
Fortunately, the bullet seems to have only grazed my shoulder. Let's find out where it was fired from.
I'd rather go somewhere out of firing range, like our hotel.
I heard the bullet hit the tree behind me. Yes, here we are. Do you have something I could use to dig it out with?
Not unless you can use tampons.
I'll just try this sharp rock.
Do you think whoever's out there shot at you on purpose?
Well, I can't imagine someone mistaking me for a rabbit. And by the way, there was a curious echo to the shot. I don't know whether you noticed it.
I was a little preoccupied ducking for cover.
Aha! Here's the bullet. Now, let me see. I was standing there. The line from this bullet hole in the tree to the spot where I was standing would indicate that the shot was fired from that cluster of trees over there. Come on, Madison. Let's see what a search discloses.
You sure you don't want to see a doctor? You're still bleeding. Like, a lot.
Superficial. It was merely a scratch. Now, if we head over to the... Ow! What did you just abruptly affix to my shoulder?
MaxiPad. It's an overnight one, so it should absorb the bleeding.
Thank you. Hello? Look over there. A man and a woman running towards us across the clearing.
With guns! Let's get out of here before we're killed by the Clampets.
Was anyone hurt?
Yeah, and we're both armed, so don't come any closer.
It's only a scratch, I assure you.
Oh, how dreadful. Look at the blood on your coat.
Put those guns down or we'll shoot.
Pardon me?
You'll have to excuse my companion here. She is American and has a tendency to spontaneously perform scenes from the Wild West.
In an Elizabethan gown?
I'm genre fluid.
Are you certain you're all right, sir?
Insofar, yes. Just how did this accident come to happen?
We were out rabbit shooting.
You're out here killing innocent rabbits? Is it to go with your possum stew?
I was teaching my wife to use a rifle.
Yes, and I saw a rabbit scurry across the clearing. I raised the rifle and fired. It seems to me, Geoffrey, that as I did so, you jolted my arm.
I'm afraid I did, Alice. I was going to fire too, but as I raised my rifle, I jolted your elbow and sent your shot wild.
I'm telling you, these rednecks have no sense of gun safety. They're constantly shooting off their own toes.
I can't tell you how sorry I am, sir. Here's my card. Of course, we'll take care of any medical expenses.
Medical expenses? I thought England had universal health care.
May I help you remove your coat to see the wound?
I don't think I can.
He's badly hurt.
No, it's just that...
Oh, the man's fainted.
This is dreadful. I have a horse and trap down the road. We can...
You're shooting rabbits and trapping horses?
It's a carriage.
Hurry, Geoffrey. We must get him to a hospital. You'll come with us, of course.
Well, it beats walking back. But if I hear a single banjo, I'm out of here. Sherlock, you feeling any better? 'Cause you look like crap.
Has the nurse gone?
Yeah, I think she's getting the doctor.
And the man and his wife?
They're in the waiting room. Found out their last name is Markham, and they're actually like rich, posh people, not backwoods trailer trash.
Then we're alone?
You want to be alone with me? Is it the bodice? Okay, but I really think you should wait until you're feeling better. Last time I did it in a hospital bed, I opened the guy's stitches. Infection, nearly lost a limb, blah, blah, blah.
No, my dear. Since we are alone, I can start behaving as if I were at death's door.
You faked an injury again?
Yes, I did, Madison.
Dick!
Ow! But hold your punches. My shoulder is confoundedly painful, I assure you.
Good. So then why did you pretend to faint?
I recognized this Mrs. Markham, and I think she recognized me. It's important she assume I'm out of action for a while.
Why? Did you hit and ditch? Ghosted her after? Dick!
Ow, no! Nothing of the sort. I just happen to have the knowledge that Mrs. Markham is in reality the notorious Mrs. Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield's wife?
Mrs. Dangerfield was tried for the murder of her husband by poisoning. She was acquitted when the jury decided that he was a habitual arsenic addict who merely happened to take an accidental overdose.
Arsenic addict? Maybe that's why he never got any respect.
I was involved in the case. I tracked down the sale of the arsenic she claimed to have bought for cosmetic purposes.
I'd usually use this as an opportunity to go off on how stupid old-timey people were for using something like arsenic in makeup, but I've had Botox, so we'll just let that one go.
Therefore, naturally, my conclusion is that shot was no accident. I'm certain that I was recognized.
It's the hat, I'm telling you.
And unfortunately, her record is a bad one. Prior to her husband's death, there was an episode in which her uncle was killed in a shooting accident. An uncle who left her a large fortune on his death.
And she was there when the accident happened?
Yes, she is something of a femme fatale. Madison, I must plan my actions very cautiously. I'm up against a dangerous opponent.
Well, you gotta stay in the hospital anyway. You haven't even been seen by the doctor yet. I don't know what your emergency rooms in 1800s England are like, but I waited 6 hours to be seen at the ER in LA. Apparently, spraining your ankle in stilettos takes a back seat to every gunshot wound and car accident in Los Angeles.
While the local staff are seeing to my injury, I want you to shadow the Markhams.
Ooh, I get to be a detective and gather information? What disguise should I wear?
No disguises. They already know you as Madison Standish. You need to befriend them further so you may stick close to them. Make them believe I'm going to be kept here for several days. Find out as much as you can, and then report to me.
But you always wear disguises.
How about you try and disguise your lack of breeding, manners, and intellect? Ow!
And you can try and disguise your pain. Mrs. Markham, it's super nice of you to invite me over to your house for lunch.
My dear Miss Standish, after injuring the famous Mr. Holmes, it's the least I could do.
Of course it is.
Wait, you guys don't think having me over for lunch makes you even for shooting Sherlock, do you?
Well, no.
Because he could still sue your ass.
I'd hardly expect it to come to that.
Let's start by seeing what's on the menu. I assume you have a vegan option?
I'd like to check with the cook. Geoffrey, dear, perhaps you could inquire and bring us some sherry. It's the maid's day off, you know.
Very well, Alice. Is anyone else coming to lunch?
Only Dennis Rodney.
Dennis Rodney? Rodney Dangerfield! Sherlock was right!
Dennis? Oh, Lord, that fellow seems to live here. Well, I'll go speak to the cook and get the sherry.
Sit down, won't you, Miss Standish?
Thanks, but with this hoop skirt, it's easier if I stand.
You're wearing that gown for the Shakespeare Festival, you say?
Yeah, but I'm kinda over it. It's like wearing your clubbing dress home the next morning. I don't feel pretty anymore. I just want to put on yoga pants.
You say that you think Mr. Holmes will be in the hospital for some days.
Yeah, he bled like a virgin on a heavy day.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I feel perfectly dreadful about it.
Not your fault. It was an accident. Right?
Yes, but I might so easily have killed him.
Well, hard to kill off the leads on their own show, unless there's contract disputes. So, who's this Dennis Rodney guy?
He's an actor from the Memorial Theatre. Perhaps you've seen him on the stage?
Yeah. Sherlock's been dragging me to a different Shakespeare show every night. I have no idea what anybody is saying. It's like watching a telenovela. You gotta guess the plot by who they're sleeping with or stabbing.
Oh, you'd have no trouble understanding Dennis. He's a fine actor. It's just a shame that they give him such poor parts.
They say there are no small parts, only small actors, but those people have never been a movie extra. The part is not only small, but you're basically set dressing that breeze.
I'm still flabbergasted by them letting that frightful Basil Grant play Hamlet last night, when Dennis only played Laertes. Dennis is 3 times the better actor.
Uh-oh. Danger, Will Robinson.
I beg your pardon?
You've got the hots for Dennis, and not hiding it very well, sweetie.
What? No. He's coaching me in acting, that's all.
Yeah, uh-huh. I can recognize the signs, girl. My sister had the hots for my boyfriend and was all flirty and stuff with him until I shaved half her head while she was sleeping. Only the goths would hang out with her after that.
I assure you, it's nothing like that. Dennis thinks that I might be able to get small parts here next season.
Okay, we'll go with that for now. But I've been watching the show Cheaters for like 2 decades and have been both the cheated on and the cheater. I know that of which I speak.
Oh, here's Geoffrey.
This sherry is rather special, Miss Standish. Only a few bottles left in the world.
I've been getting into that wine in a can. It's great because you could put a koozie on it and everyone just thinks it's soda. You can drink openly at the beach, on public transportation, at Six Flags. Oh, but I don't recommend the roller coasters after having 4 of them. I think 3 is the limit before pukage.
That must be Dennis. I'll go let him in.
We might as well have a drink, Miss Standish. You'll find it'll help make this actor fellow more tolerable.
I find drinking makes everything more tolerable, except roller coasters.
Well, Dennis endlessly reciting Shakespeare can certainly put a strain on your nerves.
Yeah, I had a boyfriend who constantly quoted Monty Python. He didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition or me breaking up with him at his birthday party.
Dennis has Alice completely fooled.
If by fooled you mean horny.
Dennis, I want to introduce you to Miss Standish.
Oh, hey. Okay, girl, I see the appeal. He's not Ryan Reynolds, People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive circa 2010, but I bet he could pull off the Green Lantern. I think Ryan in tights would have saved that movie.
How do you do?
I do it with no complaints.
Hello, Geoffrey.
Do you want a glass of sherry?
Thanks. That'll be very nice. That's a very fine gown, Miss Standish. It rivals that of our Cordelia.
Cordelia? Like from Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
King Lear, in which I shall perform tonight.
Here's your sherry, Dennis.
Don't be frosty, Geoffrey. And please remember that Dennis is our guest.
Oh, it's all right, Alice. I know that Geoffrey's bark is a good deal worse than his bite.
No one has ever said that about a chihuahua. Those little suckers can latch onto you like a barnacle to a boat.
I'd invite you to my performance tonight, Miss Standish, but I shall once again portray the thankless role of the King of France, while that incredibly bad actor Basil Grant butchers Lear.
I thought his Hamlet was atrocious last night, Dennis.
Oh, indeed it was. Oh, horrible, horrible, most horrible.
We are the knights who say, me.
when Basil came to his final line. The rest is silence. It was as much as I could do to prevent myself from cheering.
I felt rather the same way when you were killed in a duel, Dennis.
Ooh, feel that burn.
Oh, Geoffrey, you're being intolerably rude.
I thought it was funny.
Why don't you take Miss Standish upstairs and show her your butterfly collection? Then at least you'll know what you're talking about.
Are you interested in butterflies, Miss Standish? I have quite a rare collection.
OMG! You've got one of those butterfly pavilions in your house? That's my dream fairy bedroom.
Come on then, we've got time before lunch.
Try to bring yourself down with a few better manners, Geoffrey, dear.
I'm really quite an easygoing man, Miss Standish, but the arrogance of that fellow Rodney just infuriates me.
Yeah, it's always a bummer when a hot guy turns out to be a total douche. It's like biting into a chocolate chip cookie, only to discover the chocolate chips are actually raisins.
Don't put too much weight on that balcony rail. It's absolutely full of wormholes. Part of the attraction of an old house, my wife tells me.
That's the excuse my landlord used for why he wouldn't replace the original 70s shag carpeting. By the time I lived there, the shag was so worn, it looked like a hippie with a receding hairline.
Well, I'll tell you, I regard it as confoundedly dangerous.
Hey, I lost many an earring in that shag carpet, only to find them again when I was barefoot.
This is my little museum. In these cases, I think you'll find some of the finest specimens of Lepidoptera that you've ever seen.
The butterflies are all dead!
It's my hobby, and I may say that with the exception of the Natural History Museum, I doubt if you'll find a finer collection.
You kill rabbits, trap horses, and slaughter butterflies.
These are quite normal pursuits, I assure you.
Inflicting pain on creatures smaller than yourself is the hobby of a serial killer. Do you have a basement full of dead prostitutes?
There is a great deal of care that goes into killing my butterflies. I must preserve them in pristine condition.
Yeah, and how do you do that, Hannibal Lecter?
With poison.
Oh, like arsenic?
Cyanide.
Not arsenic? Like you wouldn't happen to have any arsenic around for maybe your wife's beauty products?
You heard me say cyanide. Why do you keep talking of arsenic? Are you trying to hint at something?
Am I seriously being too subtle? Because usually I'm more obvious than stretch pants on a Walmart shopper.
There's the luncheon gong. Let's go downstairs.
You're pissed now.
No. I apologize. My nerves are a little bit on edge today. It must have been that accident with your friend that upset me. I really must get that balcony rail mended. Shh.
What?
My wife and young Rodney. They're going into lunch. Listen.
But, darling, why won't he understand?
Oh, Dennis, Geoffrey has no imagination. He's never understood me.
Well, they say listeners never hear good of themselves. You know, sometimes I wonder if my wife wouldn't like me out of the way.
That almost happened to me when the other girls tried to get me kicked off the cheerleading squad. Thankfully, the head coach had a crush on me. She was the only woman I ever knew who looked good in men's shorts. And that's pretty much the episode recap.
A very interesting story, Madison. And so you think that Mrs. Markham is planning to kill her husband?
Well, she's totes in love with the actor douche and is way over her husband. And if she's anything like the girls on my cheerleading squad, she'll drop him on his head during the human pyramid.
Human pyramid?
Well, in this case, push him through that crappy old banister. And without one of those blue gym mats, he won't walk away with just bruised knees and a fistful of Amber Nelson's hair.
Mr. Markham became very evasive, you say, when you mentioned arsenic.
Oh, yeah. I remembered what you said about Mrs. Dangerfield, so I purposely mentioned it. I think he knows and was covering up for her. Which, honestly, is very sweet. Like, if the guy isn't the type to help you bury a body, why are you even with him?
You've exerted your charm sufficiently enough to obtain an invitation to visit the Markhams again, I trust?
Yeah, I'm going back this afternoon. Some sort of picnic with tea and boating? As long as it's not a six-pack and an outboard. 2 missing frat boys and a night in a Florida jail cell. Still not my worst spring break.
You've done splendidly, Madison, splendidly.
Thanks. I figured I needed to come back here and tell you everything. And now I can change out of this gown. I'm starting to smell like someone from the Renaissance.
Well, I am quite impressed. The next time Watson is otherwise engaged, I may have to call upon you again.
As long as you stop with the phony injuries. You're like a soccer player faking a foul. Next time, I'll kick you in the shins. With cleats.
Fair enough.
So, how are you doing anyway?
I'm fine, but the house surgeon did discover a very interesting fact.
Oh no! Oh, wait till the tests come back. It's not always cancer.
My dear girl, it has nothing to do with cancer. I am fit as a fiddle.
Could be lung cancer. You do smoke that pipe a lot.
Look in the drawer beside my bed, will you?
Ew! Are those toenail clippers?
Beside those.
Oh, what is that? A bullet?
A bullet that the house surgeon removed from my shoulder.
Like the bullet we found in the tree? But there was only supposed to be one bullet fired! OMG!
OMG, indeed. Therefore, 2 bullets were fired.
What does that mean?
That means that we have a dangerous task ahead of us. Not to solve a murder, but to prevent one.
Of course, if Jeffrey dies, that could save the lives of literally hundreds of butterflies.
Madison.
Devil's advocate?
Can Aaron and Katie survive the zombie apocalypse? Can their marriage survive? Check out the Rom Zom Com Z1.
I can't believe you're gone. You were so lovely to me when you were alive. But now, it's going to feel strange about seeing your fetid, offensive, nauseating face around here.
Oh, you were doing so well up until that last bit. They're back.
I'm just glad you made it. Really, you don't know how much.
Oh.
I'm still annoyed at you, though.
Oh, well, that sentiment lasted long. Yes, both of them.
I'm pregnant.
Okay, I did not see that coming. Oh, what I meant to say was, yay. Okay, maybe 3 of them. We can deal with it.
What about placental abruption, cord prolapse, eclampsia, uterine rupture?
Why do all these things sound like heavy metal bands? Uterine Rupture? I swear I have one of their albums. In the zombie apocalypse, life still has to go on for the living. But don't turn your back on the dead.
Get prepped for a brand new season of the Z1 podcast and catch up on seasons 1 and 2 to find out how we ever got in this mess.
Oh, well, when 2 people love each other very much, right, and they position themselves in a certain way... Shh.
Madison, what happened next? We left you at Sherlock Holmes' bedside in the hospital.
You don't have to whisper. Those dogs will sleep through anything. The other night, some horses ran down an old beggar woman in the street. Dogs didn't even twitch.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Like not the best guard dogs in the world.
So, did the picnic with Mr. and Mrs. Markham prove an exciting one?
When has a picnic ever been exciting? Ugh, maybe for you. You get off on Dr. Watson telling you long-winded stories every week.
Are they waking up?
But there's nothing else to do around here. No TV, no internet, nothing but medical books. I tried reading his copy of Grey's Anatomy, but clearly the writers of the show took liberties with the source material.
I think I saw one of the dogs open his eyes.
But oh my god, the picnic. It was like a bad reality show. Or a good, bad reality show. Lots of fighting. Then, Mr. Markham totes fell in the river.
Fell or, pushed?
I don't know, I didn't see it. My back was to him. I always try to position myself so the wind naturally blows my hair, like in one of those shampoo commercials.
Was Mr. Markham all right? Oh my!
Oh, look who's up. Who's the puppy? Yeah, Markham was fine. He was all freaked out, so we went back as fast as we could.
I only ask because you mentioned his wife might be trying to, kill him?
Yeah, but come on. It was a little river in the English countryside. In California, I've seen surfers dragged out to sea.
Maybe we can skip ahead. You returned to the Markham home?
Yeah, I thought if Jeffrey was going to be a whiny bitch about the whole thing, he should just go to bed. And Alice totally agreed.
Geoffrey, dear, I do wish you'd follow Madison's advice and go to bed.
For the 5th time, Alice, I will not go to bed. I'm perfectly all right, though it's no thanks to you and Dennis.
What do you mean by that remark, Geoffrey?
You know perfectly well what I mean. It wasn't an accident that I fell in the river. One of you two pushed me.
Oh my God! Nancy Kerrigan didn't whine this much when Tonya Harding beat her knee with a metal club. Why? Shut up already!
You were in the boat, Miss Standish. Didn't you see what happened?
No, the wind was coming from the southeast.
Oh, Geoffrey, you're talking rubbish.
Well then, we'll call it an accident. An accident that happened by a curious coincidence just where the river is deepest and the reeds thickest.
You weren't gonna drown. That so-called river is tame enough to have little kids in paddle boats.
Geoffrey, I don't like your tone. You can accuse me of anything you like, but if you start suggesting that Alice...
If you don't like the way I talk to my wife, I suggest you don't come to my house. I'm going to get a scarf. I'm chilly.
Miss Standish, I must apologize for my husband's behavior. I don't know what's come over him.
Oh, come on. You two are not subtle. I get where he's coming from.
Well, I wish I did. I don't mind his yelling at me, but he's being so abominably rude to you, Alice. The last couple of weeks, he's been getting worse than ever.
2 cents? Maybe try not blatantly flirting with a hot younger guy in front of your husband?
Oh, it's not that. He knows Dennis and I are only friends.
I'm sure that's what Brad told Jennifer about Angelina.
It's just been different ever since Geoffrey and I had that argument about the insurance policies.
Insurance?
Yes, we took out quite large policies on each other's lives recently.
You didn't tell me that, Alice.
It was Geoffrey's idea, and yet, when the insurance man came here, you would have thought I was forcing him into taking out the policy.
Oh, girl. Okay, thanks to Johnny Dollar, I'm a licensed insurance investigator. Well, maybe licensed is a total lie, but I do have some experience in this area.
Sounds as if you don't approve of insurance, Miss Standish.
It just gives Alice more motive to kill her. You know, nothing. And like Mario Lopez, I'm saved by the bell.
Who could that be? I wasn't expecting anyone. Answer the door, Dennis, won't you?
Oh, good day. Welcome.
It sounds as if Geoffrey has already done so.
Mr. Markham.
Oh, Alice, we have a visitor.
Good evening, Mrs. Markham. Hello, Madison.
Sherlock? Well, so much for keeping a low profile in the hospital. I guess if you're the show's title character, you need to make an appearance in the second act.
Well, I'm delighted to see you, Mr. Holmes, though I understood from your friend that you would be in the hospital for several days.
That's what he told me to tell you.
The constitution of an ox and the obstinacy of a mule are 2 characteristics of mine that have combined to make it possible for my early departure from the hospital.
I'll confirm that. He is an ass.
How do you do, Mr. Rodney? I think I've seen you at the theatre. My name is Sherlock Holmes.
How do you do, sir?
You'll stay for supper, I hope.
If it's not inconvenient, Mrs. Markham.
Of course it isn't. I'll go in and arrange for it.
I'm so glad you're here, Sherlock. I've got the motive.
What do you say, Miss Standish?
I'm glad to see you too, Miss Standish. Let's take a stroll out on the terrace, shall we?
What?
It's rather warm inside this evening.
Then take off your coat. I know it matches that hat of yours, but don't you think this whole look is rather on the nose for Sherlock Holmes?
Do you mind if we step outside, Mr. Markham?
Not at all. You can go out through the French windows.
Thank you so much. Come along, Madison.
What's your deal, Sherlock? I've only ever been rushed out of a party when I was totally wasted. And trust me, that sherry of Geoffrey's has less of a kick than NyQuil.
You'll excuse me, but I didn't want you revealing what you've learned about the case in front of the involved parties.
Well, at least this time you didn't fake a severed limb or something.
While you've spent the afternoon with the Markhams, I myself have not been idle. I think our stage is set. I have a feeling that I may contribute to a rather dramatic last act curtain. Ow! Why did you punch my injured shoulder?
Pain is dramatic. OMG. Alice, I can't believe this isn't real beef. This is the best vegan stew I've ever had.
Oh, is that what vegan means?
Your cook does wonders with tofu.
Tofu? Mr. Holmes, you're not eating very much.
My appetite is a trifle jaded. The mental fencing we have indulged in during the meal has been somewhat disturbing.
I don't understand you.
You're not alone. Seriously, how is this only vegetable stock? So good!
Oh, come now, madam. I know that you were once Mrs. Dangerfield, and you know that I know it. Why keep up the pretense any longer?
Very well, Mr. Holmes. But we needn't converse in lower voices. Geoffrey, Dennis, I want you to listen to this. Mr. Sherlock Holmes knows that I was once Mrs. Dangerfield. He's apparently under the impression that this is a dark secret of mine. Mr. Holmes, Geoffrey knew and loved me before I ever married Mr. Dangerfield.
Of course I did, Mr. Holmes.
He stood by me during the whole horrible trial after my first husband's death. And I told Dennis about the whole miserable business months ago, so I really don't see that you've uncovered any great secret.
Oh man, Sherlock! Your pitch was so outside the plate, the bat boy had to fish it out of the dugout.
How's that?
Sorry, I can't put it in terms of cricket. I only know American sports.
Mrs. Markham, I have a feeling that it's only a matter of moments before secrets reveal themselves.
Secrets? So, Alice, you haven't got any secrets from Dennis either, eh?
There's no need to shout, Geoffrey.
There's no need for Dennis to be in my house. Get out, Rodney, and stay out. This business between you and Alice has gone far enough.
I'll go when Alice tells me to.
This is what it was like on the boat, Sherlock. I was ready to go full-on Robert Wagner on all three of those Natalie Woods.
Geoffrey, please. We have guests.
Well, if Dennis won't go, then I'm not going to sit here. I'm going upstairs.
You're shaking like a leaf, sir. You've got a fever. Don't you think you'd better go to bed?
Mind your own business and leave me alone.
Mrs. Markham, I really think that you should persuade your husband to go upstairs and lie down.
Oh, Sherlock, never get in the middle of a couple fighting. Just secretly film it on your phone and put it up on TikTok. It'll go viral.
Don't worry, Mr. Holmes. I know how to handle him. I'll take him up. Put an arm around my shoulder, Geoffrey. Come along.
Very well.
Dude, she's gonna take him up those stairs with the broken banister. What were you thinking, Sherlock?
What are you suggesting, Miss Standish?
Oh, like you don't know, you gigolo. Although, as an actress myself, I do commend your gold-digging efforts with Mrs. Markham. Better than supporting yourself working in food service, am I right?
Shush, both of you. Come with me and watch.
She's on the outside of Geoffrey.
Geoffrey, be careful.
OMG! Geoffrey fell into her!
Alice, are you all right?
He totally pushed her into the railing. What the M. Night Shyamalan is going on here?
Alice.
Geoffrey tried to push me through the railing.
That's a lie.
No, it's not, sir. The three of us were watching you from below.
Wait, the crappy banister didn't break. Clearly not made by IKEA.
I can explain that, Madison. This afternoon, while you were all at your picnic, I came here with a local carpenter. You had informed me that it was the maid's day off, so I took the liberty of reinforcing that decaying woodwork.
Extreme home makeover! You go, Ty Peddington!
What the blazes do you think you've been up to, Holmes?
Preventing murder, sir, and finding the true solution to the Dangerfield case.
What do you mean, Mr. Holmes? The true solution?
Surely it's obvious to you, Mrs. Markham. You have told us that your present husband loved you before you married Mr. Dangerfield.
What of it?
It was he who accidentally killed your uncle so that you might inherit a fortune. And it was he who accidentally gave your first husband an overdose of arsenic. Arsenic that he obtained for the purpose of destroying butterflies.
I knew he was a serial killer! Butterflies be revenged!
And it was he who tried to send you to your death by pushing you through that railing.
All I've been trying to do is conceal the fact that my wife was a murderess.
Geoffrey, how can you say that?
Markham, if you...
Just a moment, Mr. Rodney. I'm not through with him yet.
Ooh, both barrels, Sherlock.
This is all very dramatic, Mr. Holmes, but I wonder how you're going to be able to prove it.
Miss Standish, Mr. Rodney and I will testify to the attempt that you've just made on Mrs. Markham's life.
And I'll testify to your butterfly murder room.
I was thinking more about his attempt on my life in the woods.
Oh, yeah! All those innocent rabbits!
But my wife has already admitted to firing the shot.
That's true, sir, but 2 shots were fired. The one that your wife fired we found in the tree, but the one that you fired was extracted from my shoulder in the hospital.
So the 2 shots were fired at the same time?
You remember, Madison, that I commented on the curious echo, and Mrs. Markham told us that her arm was jolted as she pulled the trigger. That was when the other rifle was fired.
2 gunmen! I knew it couldn't have been just her in the book depository.
Mr. Markham didn't want me on the scene when he staged his latest accident, and so he tried to kill me.
What kind of a devil have I been living with all these years?
I think I'm going to kill you, Markham.
Don't come near me. Keep away from me.
Save it for the law courts, Mr. Rodney. British justice may be slow, as indeed it was in the Dangerfield case, but in the long run it surely will find Mr. Markham on the gallows.
He's a rich white dude. In America, he wouldn't even go to jail. He'd become a correspondent for Fox News.
Well, tell me, Madison, did Mr. Markham finally end up on the gallows?
Ooh, got yourself a morbid side. I like that. Although it's a bit weakened by the fact that you're standing on a chair.
Do you think he's done chewing my pocket watch?
You want to take it away from him? To answer your ghoulish question, yes, they old school hanged Markham. And OMG, I got to go to Alice and Dennis's wedding. One last chance to wear my Elizabethan gown.
Oh, it was a themed wedding?
No.
Well, that was an exciting story. Thank you for sharing. I really must be going.
Don't you want to hear about next week's story? Dr. Watson wrote down what he wanted me to say.
Actually, I'm rather late for another engagement. Why don't you give me that paper and I'll read it on my ride home.
Are you sure? Because I've practiced this one too. Next week's recipe. Take the spice of North Africa.
I simply must be going. Good night.
Oh my god, you guys. Training you to growl and bark at that dude was time well spent. Who wants a cookie? The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes continued the on-screen pairing of Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce, who appeared in 14 Sherlock Holmes films from 1939 through 1946. Some fun facts about Basil Rathbone. He was born in 1892, so he was alive when Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was still writing many of the Holmes stories. And, relating to our episode, Basil Rathbone was a trained Shakespearean actor who actually appeared on stage in a Shakespeare festival in Stratford-upon-Avon. And although he died in 1967, his last appearance as Sherlock Holmes came nearly 20 years after his death when Disney released The Great Mouse Detective using archival sound of Mr. Rathbone's voice. Hey everybody, it's Madison. Thank you so much for listening. Do you want some free swag? I'll send you a Madison on the Air logo sticker when you sign up for my free e-newsletter. Sneak peeks, my exclusive behind-the-scenes blog, and all sorts of not found anywhere else Madison stuff. Sign up on my website, madisonontheair.com. Oh, and we are in the middle of a campaign to get Ryan Reynolds on my show. When you're on Twitter, be sure to tag @VanCityReynolds with hashtag RyanOnMadison to let him know you want him on my show. Thank you guys! You are amazing! Okay, announcer dude, roll the credits.
Madison on the Air was written and produced by Chrissy Talon Sage with music composition and audio engineering by Jeremy Sage. The role of Madison Standish was played by Chrissy Talon Sage. Albert Garnica appeared as Sherlock Holmes. Other actors in the cast were Kareem Confley as Jeffrey Markham, Laura Christine Elliott as Alice Markham, Jerry Kokich as Dennis Rodney, and David Pinion as the announcer. was working super hard on a makeup tutorial show. She was teaching smoky eyes to folks out there who really wanted to know when some freaky deaky science stuff only understood by nerds zapped her into old radio shows, the kind you might never have heard. Now she should probably be trying to get out, but Madison, she's having fun, living an old-time radio life. Our explanation is done.
Madison is on the air.
The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And now let's look in on our good friend and host, Dr. Watson.
Come on in.
Oh, not again. You know, folks, perhaps we should skip our chat with Dr. Watson this week. You have other things you could be doing, right? When was the last time you cleaned your oven?
Hey, look who's back.
Yes. Hello, Miss Standish. Dr. Watson is out of town again?
Yup.
You'd think maybe he would have mentioned it to me.
I told him not to. I wanted it to be a surprise.
Did you now?
Uh-huh. And he knows you love hanging out with me. Come on inside. I have an amazing Sherlock Holmes adventure to tell you.
Dr. Watson's dogs, they're,
He went to the country this time, so he took them with him. I'm sorry. I know you had so much fun with them on your last visit.
Yes, fun.
Come on, sit down. Oh, not on the sofa. Come here to the table.
It looks like a regular gambling house in here.
I know, right? Sherlock and I went to the French Riviera to a casino. So I thought, to get us in the mood for the story, you and I could play a little poker.
Well, I don't have any money on me to gamble.
Not a problem. We're playing strip poker.
Pardon?
And I don't mean to brag, but the Pikes from Pi Kappa Alpha, try as they might, never saw the girls out of the bra.
Maybe this isn't quite appropriate.
Don't worry, this is radio. The audience won't see the size of your microphone. You can deal as I start the story.
All right, anything to get this over with.
The adventure begins in the south of France in the year 1900. The French Riviera back then was like Vegas before there was Vegas, except without the rednecks and flip-flops gorging themselves at the buffets. In fact, everyone was really posh and dressed like they were going to prom or something. And the game everyone was playing was roulette.
How many cards am I dealing?
First, we gotta ante up. I'll open with 2 shoes.
Shoes?
Come on, what, you got holes in your socks? Let's go.
All right.
Now deal 5 cards. 2 you can look at, 3 stay face down.
How about you start the story?
Deal the cards. Okay, Sherlock and I were in a small casino. It wasn't Monte Carlo, so not exactly the clientele from James Bond. More like where all the Bond girls who aren't hot anymore go to still feel pretty by comparison. I was working this one wheel, and naturally, Sherlock was giving me a hard time about it.
23 rouge.
Lost again, Madison?
Hey, don't come at me with that negative energy. If you want to jinx somebody, go after Miss Peacock Feathers over there. Thanks to her, there's a bird somewhere with a naked butt.
Why don't you cut your losses and come for a stroll with me on the waterfront?
No. I'm feeling it. This table is warming up to me. 10 black is gonna hit.
Madison, I think the blood of a gambler courses through your veins.
I'd do better with another highball coursing through my veins.
Be careful, or you'll deplete the south of France of all of its whiskey.
If you're not gonna get me a refill, why don't you place a bet? Here, you can have some of my Napoleon chips.
Those are Franks.
Who's Frank? This is a picture of Napoleon. I know what he looks like. I've seen Bill and Ted.
All the same, the law of averages convinces me that my money is safer in my pocket. In any case, I'm a little dubious as to the integrity of this particular casino.
Pretend I'm not a thesaurus.
Well, you will observe that this roulette wheel has a double zero. Most continental wheels only have a single one. This would indicate that this house is extremely concerned with its percentage.
So I should bet on 00.
That's not what I...
00 it is. Thanks, Sherlock.
Faites vos jeux.
With your level of gambling skills, perhaps you should allow me to hold on to your remaining Napoleon chips.
Why do you not stand on the other side of the table? Why must you always stand next to me?
Hello? What's the trouble there?
Oh, man. Fights in casinos never end well. Their security is almost as good as Disneyland. But the mob ain't got nothing on Mickey.
You've placed your bet. Let's see what this is all about.
Please, sir, why do you play here beside me?
I'm afraid I don't see any reason why I can't play wherever I wish.
You have broken my luck ever since you've come to the table. I've done nothing but lose. Please to move away.
Oh, move away yourself if you don't like my company.
Henrik, why you not stop now? You've already lost more than we can afford.
Eins more throw, Elsa. I can win it all back if only this young man would move away.
Why should my husband move? He's had a run of bad luck too.
Les jeux sont faits, rien ne va plus.
Gamblers certainly are a superstitious lot.
You want to try dialing down that pompous logic? It's deafening.
10 noir.
You've lost again, Madison.
10 black? Dude, Sherlock! You totally tanked my bet!
It seems you are not the only one with bad luck.
Henrik, you must stop now. Please.
Yeah, I must stop, Elsa, because I have lost everything. I hope you're satisfied, Herr American. You've broken my luck and ruined me. I hope that you will be ruined too.
Henrik, wait for me.
My, what a display.
Were you listening to him, sir? Have you ever heard such rubbish?
All night, I was playing 10 black, and then you had to come along and screw it all up.
Yes, I believe I have heard such rubbish.
The brilliant Sherlock Holmes. You owe me 100 Napoleon chips.
Sherlock Holmes? Well, it's an honor to meet you, sir. My name is Gilbert. Roger Gilbert. And this is my wife, Helen.
How do you do?
How do you do? This is my, this is Madison Standish.
Sup?
Didn't you think that German man's remarks were a little bit out of place?
No. Bad luck is real. My junior year high school, our football team was losing every game. Then one night, as my cheer squad was working our butts off to motivate the crowd, Brittany Romano tried to go into a back handspring, but didn't keep her arm straight, so she totally came down on her head and was unconscious for 2 minutes. She went to the hospital, and after that, we came back and won the game.
Madison, I really think that...
Don't interrupt, you jinx. While she was on medical leave, we started winning. Then it was the playoffs, and she was finally able to cheer again, right? Well, we started losing. So, as cheer captain, I had to make the hard decision.
Please tell me you didn't.
Of course I did. The football team went on to win state, and Brittany eventually got most of her motor skills back.
Thank you for that colorful tale.
Go West Beverly High!
But, if I may return to the situation at hand, I must admit I didn't like the look on that gentleman's face as he left the table. Mr. Gilbert, do you have any idea who he is?
His name is Schrader. He's staying at the same hotel as we are. I've never spoken to him, but I've heard him being paged there.
Well, he shouldn't gamble unless he can afford to lose.
Exactly! Don't join the cheer squad if you aren't willing to put the football team first.
I'm losing, darling, and I can't afford it.
Oh, but I can let you have more money. You know that.
Ooh, married into money. You dirty, rotten scoundrel.
Helen, I may have married an heiress, but I am not going to use your fortune to gamble with. I'll lose my own money, and then I'll quit.
Good call. Save her bucks for buying yachts and investing in pyramid schemes.
Mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux.
Your last bet, Madison?
Yes, and I'm gonna bet 10 black again like I should have last time.
But, Madison, the statistical probability of the same number winning twice in a row...
Never tell me the odds. I play the evens.
Les jeux sont faits, rien ne va plus.
Come on, 10 black.
11 noir.
11 black? Oh, that's it, Sherlock. You've got bad juju.
I've lost again, darn it. Helen, this is my bad night.
Why don't you stop now, dear?
Yes, Madison, I would advise you to do the same.
Might as well. You've totally skunked up this table. I should have done to you what I did to Brittany. but I don't have a Gatorade bottle.
Say, what's the commotion over there?
It's that German woman, with a crowd forming around her.
Votre attention, s'il vous plaît, y a-t-il un médecin dans la maison?
I wonder what the trouble is. He's asking if there's a doctor in the house.
He said Maison. Madison. He's calling for me. Excuse me.
Madison, that's not what...
Excuse me. Move your butts, s'il vous plaît. You called for Madison. I'm here. What's the problem?
Vous êtes docteur?
No, she most certainly is not a doctor.
What's up? What happened?
Madison, don't...
It is my husband.
The German dude?
Yeah. I just found him lying out in the garden. Please, come with me at once.
Of course we will, madam. What seems to be the matter with him?
Oh, I think he's dead.
Oh, man. Then you don't need me. You need a doctor.
Look, he's lying by that tree. Please, see if you can help him, please.
I thought you said he was dead. What do you want us to help you with? Funeral arrangements?
Somebody else seems to be on the scene before us. Who are you, sir?
I am Monsieur Baudelaire, the director of the casino. Do any of you know this poor man?
Yeah, I am his wife. Is he dead?
I'm afraid so, madame.
You are certain?
Okay, out of the way. I'll take a look.
I'm sure if Frau Schrader required a second opinion, Madison, yours is not the one she'd be seeking.
Dude, there's been a dead person in pretty much every single episode I've done of these old-timey radio shows. And they say modern audiences are obsessed with crime shows? You people got blood on your hands.
Was your husband gambling in the casino tonight, madame?
Yeah, he was. Poor Henrik. He'll lose everything that we have.
Yep. Toad's dead on our arrival. Look, he shot through the heart, and he's to blame. Fraulein, he gives death a bad name.
A bad name? Suicide.
That's my guess.
Ach du lieber Gott.
Yes. Powder burns on the shirt front, revolver clutched to the right hand, fingers in an unnatural position, the angle of the wound settles it, obviously self-inflicted.
I missed you as you slipped out of the casino. What's wrong with him?
I'm afraid he's dead, Mr. Gilbert.
Yeah, he committed suicide. Oh, I hope, young man, that you are satisfied. All night you brought him bad luck. He asked you to move away from him to change his luck, but no, you could not do it.
Frau Schrader, I'm terribly sorry, but I really don't see how you can blame me.
Dude, you could have moved. Instead, you doubled down like an election denier.
I do blame you, and I also blame you, Monsieur Baudelaire.
Me? But what have I done, madame?
Why do you let a man lose all his money at your tables? Is life so cheap to you and money so important that you cannot close the tables to someone before he's ruined?
Madame, I have all sympathy for you and your tragic loss, but the casino cannot be held responsible. If your husband cannot afford to gamble, then he should not come here. How are we to know the financial limitations of our customers?
Yeah, gotta side with the French dude on that one. It's like blaming McDonald's for getting you fat. They just make the Big Macs. You're the one who ate them. Now I'm hungry.
You say that your husband lost everything you had tonight, madam?
Yeah, everything.
Then how do you account for this sheaf of banknotes in his breast pocket?
Dude, look at all that French dinero.
Then he wasn't ruined.
And his suicide, therefore, cannot be blamed on his losses at my casino, madame.
How do you account for this money, Frau Schrader?
I do not understand. Henrik, he kept nothing from me. You see, I know that he did not have so much money on him when he started tonight. So now, why do you all look at me like that?
She fainted.
I had the same reaction when my ex-boyfriend said he couldn't help me with the rent, but then I found out he spent his entire paycheck on a hooker.
We should get this poor woman to her hotel room.
Not a cheap hooker either. One of those escorts. Like, I would have done those things for him if I knew he'd pay for it.
Please, you can take her to my suite in the casino.
No, let's take her to the hotel. The poor woman. She's had a dreadful shock. My wife will look after her.
That's very considerate of you, Mr. Gilbert.
I don't know if it's considerate for him to volunteer his wife without asking her.
Where are you staying?
At the Hotel Crayon. It's quite near here.
I'll get a cab, and while I'm doing that, Madison, see if you can revive her, will you?
Sure. Us women are just here to serve. But this time I'm charging escort prices.
It's very kind of you, Mrs. Gilbert, to let us bring the poor lady into your suite.
Like she had a choice?
Well, it's the least I can do, in spite of what she said about Roger bringing her husband bad luck.
I'm sure she'll need your help when she wakes up, Helen.
I slipped her a Xanax I had in my purse. That should knock her out for a while.
Madison, perhaps you should refrain from prescribing medication to anyone.
Oh, please. It's 1900. You treat syphilis with mercury. In my day, I got penicillin, thanks to that escort.
My wife and I were just about to have a drink. Would you two care to join us?
Oh, thank you, sir.
Dude, read my mind. What you got that'll hit hard and fast? And can be mixed with Xanax. I took a couple myself.
I'll see what we've got.
Roger was just telling me that quite a large sum of money was found on Herr Schrader's body, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Gilbert, several thousand francs.
But I thought he'd lost all of his money, and that's why he committed suicide.
One of my sister's hamsters committed suicide. He had a warm bed of wood shavings, a wheel to run on, a never-ending supply of food nuggets. But I guess it just wasn't enough for Squeaker.
I think the answer is obvious, Mrs. Gilbert. He didn't.
Didn't commit suicide.
Didn't have a large sum of money.
Yes he did. You were the one who found it. Dude, Sherlock, did you grab one of my Xanax?
What I mean is, the money was placed there after he had shot himself. The banknotes were in his breast pocket, a highly unusual place to carry money, although it is the easiest pocket for someone to insert the money into without disturbing the body.
But why on earth should someone place the money on him after his suicide?
To prevent the casino from getting a bad name. I've heard of it being done on several similar occasions. It gives the impression that the unfortunate victim had other motives than gambling losses to account for his suicide.
So one of the casino employees found the body lying there and put the money in his breast pocket?
I'm not a gambling man, but I'll lay you 100 to 1. That is what happened.
Not surprising. When I did Applebee's, this guy had a heart attack. My manager quickly slipped a grilled chicken tender salad on his table so it wouldn't look like the heart attack was caused by his 4 servings of baby back ribs.
Well, that's a new one for me. Anyway, Mr. Holmes, here are your drinks.
Thank you.
Ooh, this'll ease me into unconsciousness quite nicely. Thank you.
Say, Helen, Herr Schrader has given me a brainwave.
Another one? What is it this time, Roger?
Now, I've been losing very heavily tonight.
Ditto. No thanks to the great louse detective.
As you may recall, Madison, I encouraged you not to gamble at all.
Wait, listen. This is a great idea. What do you think of my going down to gamble again tonight? And after I lose, I stain my shirt with red ink, walk out on the grounds, fire a shot, and lie down as though I'm dead.
Roger, whatever for?
Don't you see? I just need to lie there and wait for a casino employee to come along and stuff my pockets full of banknotes. Then I haven't lost it all.
Roger, you're not really going to do it, are you?
Dude, that is freaking brilliant! I faked my own death tons of times to get out of math tests, but never thought of doing it for money.
14 rouge.
Damn it!
My dear Madison, you'll have to sell matchsticks in Piccadilly Circus to make up for your gambling losses tonight.
I'm not ready to tap out yet.
I can tell you a really infallible way of making money at roulette.
Really? Let's hear it.
Simple. Own the gambling house and operate the tables yourself. The odds would be all in your favor.
Next, you'll tell me the surefire way to make it in Hollywood is to have a famous parent.
Mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux.
About done gambling tonight, Madison. It's almost 11 o'clock.
A few more minutes, and then I'll try that faking a suicide idea.
Then you'll be gambling that your acting skills are better than your gambling skills.
Just don't investigate my death too closely and give away the ending before the payoff. okay?
By the way, the young American, Mr. Gilbert, was losing heavily again tonight, too.
Is it really losing if you have a sugar mama to pick up the tab?
Perhaps without any real risk, his interest in gambling cooled. I saw him leave the tables about half an hour ago.
Ooh, speaking of the bottomless ATM, here comes Mrs. Gilbert.
Yes, and on the arm of Monsieur Baudelaire.
Les jeux sont faits, rien ne va plus.
Good evening, Mrs. Gilbert. Monsieur Baudelaire.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Hello again.
34 rouge.
Damn it!
Oh no. Losing again, Miss Standish?
Ooh, watch out, Sherlock. She's so perceptive, she might put you out of the detective business.
You should cut your losses and join us. Monsieur Baudelaire has been giving me a personally conducted tour of the casino. It's quite fascinating.
And it is quite fascinating for me to have so beautiful a woman on my arm, mademoiselle. I know I am the envy of all the men in Rome.
Oh. Stop flattering me so much. I'm not used to it.
How's your husband, Mrs. Gilbert?
Roger, isn't he here?
Oh, no, Mrs. Gilbert. He left the table some time ago. But tell me, how is Frau Schrader?
She seems much better. She awakened an hour ago and insisted on going back to her own room. I wanted her to spend the night with us in our suite, but she wouldn't hear of it.
Faites vos jeux?
Have you finished gambling for tonight, Miss Standish?
Yeah. Couldn't catch a break, darn it. I lost a lot of money, and I'm really bummed about it. Like, really bummed.
You shan't be expecting any calls from the West End for that performance.
You remember I'm carrying a gun, right?
Oh, I am so sorry for your unfortunate luck at my tables.
Yeah, breaks your heart to take all my money, doesn't it?
Mrs. Gilbert! Mrs. Gilbert!
Frau Schrader, shame on you. You shouldn't have left your hotel.
It is too late to worry for me. It is for Mrs. Gilbert now that you should worry.
What do you mean? Oh, good. I'm not the only one that thought what she said got lost in the translation.
You see, I went back now just to where poor Henrik died, and there, lying in the grass, I saw another body. I was too shocked to go too close. I am quite sure that I recognized your husband, Mrs. Gilbert.
Oh, Mr. Holmes. Roger must have gone through with his little scheme.
Damn it! I was gonna do that. We can't have a third suicide in the courtyard. It'll look like Heaven's Gate saw another comet.
Let's go at once and find out what exactly happened, shall we?
Now the only way I can make back my losses is by stealing all the bagels from the hotel's continental breakfast.
There he is, lying in the grass.
Strange that he wouldn't have gotten up as soon as Frau Schrader discovered his performance.
He's like a stand-up doing his whole set to the waitstaff. He got his stage time, and he's gonna use it.
It's a most convincing spectacle. That red ink really does look like blood.
Yes, and blood sometimes looks like red ink. Mr. Gilbert?
Roger, get up. The joke's spoiled. Roger, get up.
I'm afraid that's impossible, Mrs. Gilbert. He's dead.
Okay, I'll admit, that's a level of commitment I wasn't willing to give to the role.
If you produce audio dramas, it obviously isn't to become rich and famous. You love the medium, and you want to share your passion for theater of the mind. The Mutual Audio Drama Network is looking for you. Mutual presents audio dramas every day of the week, each with its own genre. Mystery, sci-fi, comedy, horror, all reaches of the imagination. It doesn't matter if you produced your shows years ago or are still cranking them out. Share them on the world's largest collection of modern audio drama and audio fiction. Give a listen at mutualaudionetwork.com. And if you'd like to be a part of the excitement, with free access to all sorts of voices, sound effects, music, and more, just drop a line to mutualaudio@gmail.com. The Mutual Audio Drama Network. Why not join us today?
Come on, it's your call.
Do you think we could put another log on the fire?
I didn't tell you to go all in with your cardigan.
I was thinking more of my pants.
Sherlock says I'm a bad actor, but I've managed to bluff you on like 5 hands. Truth be told, I had you pegged as a boxer's guy.
Maybe we should just call it a night before frostbite kicks in?
You don't want to know what happened?
The German was dead, the American was dead. Incredible story. Thank you for sharing it with us.
No, wait! This is what it starts to get good.
Very well. But before you go on, could I maybe borrow that blanket from the couch?
That would be cheating. You don't want me to tell Dr. Watson that you were cheating at cards, do you?
If it prevents pneumonia.
It's not that much longer. We're already in the second act. Deal it up, and I'll continue the story.
I can't feel my fingers.
Okay, so right after we found Roger's body, they called for the local police, and this inspector dude showed up.
Monsieur Holmes, you have concluded your examination?
Yes, Inspector Garnier.
I checked him out too.
Will you favor me with your observations?
Sure. The, lack of breathing on the part of the person in question, in conjunction with the excessive amount of blood outside rather than inside said person.
I believe the inspector was addressing me.
Oh, what's to observe? Dude's dead, roll the credits.
Monsieur Holmes, you say that you are certain that this is not another suicide?
I'm sure of it, Inspector. Look at the wound. The bullet entered the body at a direct right angle, whereas a self-inflicted shot is always fired obliquely.
Then you suggest that this man was shot from above as he lay on the ground pretending to be dead?
I'm convinced of it.
I'm not. I didn't see him pretending to be dead, so I'm not sure his performance was convincing.
I think I agree with the mademoiselle.
Ha!
Well then, allow me to explain.
You can never not be right, can you, Sherlock?
I will give you 2 reasons. Though it's impossible to be sure without a laboratory test, I'm certain that beneath those bloodstains are stains of red ink. Look for yourself, Inspector.
Oui, indeed, it does look like it. What is your other reason for being certain this man was shot here as he lay pretending death?
Show him the banknotes, Madison.
Here you go.
500 francs.
500? Madison.
Oh, look! Another 500 in my pocket. Must have gotten stuck.
Hardly valuable currency any longer. You'll notice the bullet hole through the middle of them, Inspector.
How many people know of this little plot you have told me about? The plan of this dead man to pretend to be shot.
Just 3 people, Inspector. Miss Standish, myself, and Mrs. Gilbert.
If it was just you 3 who knew of the plot, then it must be the wife who killed him.
What about Mrs. German dude? She was in the other room when Roger brought up the whole faking his death plan. I'd given her a Xanax, but I've taken whole final exams on Xanax and tequila. I mean, I didn't pass the test, but that's really more about my epic lack of studying.
Well, from what you have told me about her husband's suicide, she might have had a motive for murdering this man.
Come, both of you. Surely it's obvious who murdered Mr. Gilbert.
Who, Monsieur Holmes?
He's not gonna just tell you. He's gonna make a huge presentation about it. Bring in all the suspects, give you a bunch of red herrings. Ugh, talk about overacting.
Well, thank you for deflating my dramatic moment. If you'd like to know who the murderer is, you'll find me in the casino.
Sorry, Inspector. He's a total narcissist. But when people like that are useful, we give him a free pass.
If you can wrap this up, I can go to bed.
Well, Monsieur Baudelaire, now that we're all assembled in your office, I shall sit down quietly and let Inspector Garnier conduct his examination.
I see what you mean. He is un canard.
With a capital K.
No, Monsieur Holmes, you have conducted the case so far. Please continue it to the end.
Nice one.
I haven't even had supper tonight. I just want to go home.
I agree with the inspector. Monsieur Holmes, I should appreciate it on behalf of the casino if you finish the case.
Very well, gentlemen. It won't take me long. Frau Schrader.
Yeah, Herr Holmes?
At what time did you leave your hotel tonight?
I do not know what time it was.
Well, what made you leave it?
I could not sleep. I knew that they had taken poor Henrik's body away, but I felt that I must walk back there. It was the last place I saw him alive.
How close did you come to Mr. Gilbert's body when you saw it lying there?
I came close enough to see who it was. And then I ran into the casino to tell his wife. I knew what had happened.
How did you know? You just said you didn't come close to the body.
He certainly drags us out, no?
He likes to hear himself talk, almost as much as a podcaster.
I could tell by every line of the body as it lay there. I could tell because I knew that poor Henrik's death would not be avenged.
Thank you, Frau Schrader. That will be all. You're free to go.
Free to go? Monsieur Holmes, she has no alibi. Surely.
Inspector Garnier, if I'm to conduct this investigation, I must do it my way. You may go, Frau Schrader.
Dankeschön. Danke. Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah, try spending a whole episode with him.
Mrs. Gilbert.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
Where were you prior to our meeting at the casino tonight? Just before we discovered your husband's body.
After I left the hotel, I walked over here along the seafront.
Can anyone verify that statement?
I suppose not. I didn't meet anyone that I knew.
And what did you do when you arrived at the casino?
Why not ask her if she had eggs for breakfast?
It's aggravating how he drags it out, isn't it? Like 3 movies for The Hobbit aggravating.
I tried my luck at a few spins of roulette, and then Monsieur Baudelaire came over to the table and asked if he might escort me through the club. 10 minutes after that, we walked into you and Miss Standish.
That is quite true, Monsieur Holmes. I can swear to it.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilbert. I'm sorry to distress you with these questions. You may go.
She may go?
I'll wait outside, Mr. Holmes. I must know what happened.
A few simple questions and another suspect is at the door?
He's got to be getting to the murderer. We're running out of people.
Wait for me outside, madame. I shall join you in a few moments and escort you home.
Thank you, Monsieur Baudelaire.
Oh, well, another suspect with a poor alibi. Garnier?
Oui. I must say, Monsieur Holmes, your methods buzz on me, and your attitude is, how you say...
British?
Oui.
Please, don't worry, Inspector. I've asked 2 of your plain-clothed men to keep an eye on the ladies.
You gave orders to my men?
Wait till he reveals the murderer. Then you can have him deported.
And now, Monsieur Baudelaire, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Ask me any questions you wish, Monsieur Holmes.
Thank you. You will agree that it is the custom of this casino to put money on the bodies of suicides after their death, to give the impression that gambling losses were not responsible for the tragedy.
Well, I do not think...
Oh, come now, Baudelaire. I know that is a fact as well as you do.
You let him get away with it?
Do you know how much paperwork is involved in every call we get?
Somebody's up past his bedtime.
Now, Baudelaire, on those rather gruesome occasions, whose responsibility is it to secrete the money?
Secrete? Ew.
To deposit or conceal in a hiding place? Madison, please, your interruptions are dragging out this whole affair.
Oh, no. No, he did not.
But he did.
Canard.
Close.
Oui, Monsieur Holmes. I put the money on the body myself.
Did you place the money on Herr Schrader tonight?
Oui, monsieur, I did.
And did you also perform the same service on the body of Mr. Gilbert?
No, I knew nothing of that death until Frau Schrader came running into the casino.
Excuse me for interrupting, Monsieur Holmes.
Inspector, what is it?
I think that you are wasting time. It is obvious that Madame Gilbert committed the crime. She knew of her husband's plot, she had no alibi, and she had the motive.
What motive? No. It was Frau German lady. Remember when she was over her dead husband's body and was like, "By Grapdar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, you shall be avenged!"
Oui, Monsieur Holmes, I remember that.
No, you don't.
And besides, Madame Gilbert did not kill her husband. I know it.
How do you know?
I was with her myself at the time the murder was committed.
Indeed, how very interesting. And what time was the murder committed?
Well, it was,
Our investigations have never established what time the murder was committed, Monsieur Baudelaire.
Oh, snap.
I'm afraid you've walked into my trap. You've given yourself away.
See, Inspector, he's good with the payoff.
Baudelaire, I've known you a good many years. I cannot believe you would do this. To me! I'm going to be up all night filling out paperwork for your arrest.
No, you're not, Garnier.
Whoa! Dude's got a gun! Take him out, Inspector!
Do not be frightened, Miss Standish. I'm not going to shoot any of you.
Oh, okay. Feeling much better.
Baudelaire, why did you murder Roger Gilbert tonight?
Surely you know that too, Monsieur Holmes, because I'm in love with his wife.
Ooh, who had love triangle on their bingo card?
Helen is young and beautiful and rich. It did not occur to me to do anything about it until I saw that young fool lying there, pretending to be dead. You see, in my profession, it is natural that I should carry a revolver. What could be simpler? Mr. Gilbert gave me the perfect opportunity. I could not resist it.
Put down that revolver, Baudelaire.
Why are you all so frightened? Surely you know how I'm going to use it this time?
I think so, monsieur, but it's a coward's way out.
What an unperceptive remark for such a perceptive man. No. All my life I have been a gambler. I gambled tonight for the highest stakes of all. And I lost. I am not afraid to pay for my losses. Au revoir, monsieur.
So glad we came to the French Riviera, Sherlock. I'll always remember the beautiful sea, the glamorous hotels, and how I had to spend all night picking brain matter out of my hair.
What an extraordinary case. I never would have suspected Baudelaire.
I know, right? Like, just because Helen was nice to him, he thought if he killed her husband, what? She'd run away with him? That's delusion level serial killer.
Well, I guess it's time for me to go now.
Don't you want to know how Sherlock figured out it was him?
Can I start getting dressed while you tell me?
Getting dressed? Dude, you lost your clothes to me betting at poker. You don't get them back.
What? But I thought the game was all in fun.
It was fun. I won all your clothes. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It is cold in here.
You'll have me go home through the streets of London without any clothing?
Okay, I'll give you one chance to win all your clothes back.
What do I have to do?
Tell me how you think Sherlock figured out the murderer was Baudelaire.
You said the banknotes had a bullet hole through them.
Uh-huh.
And Baudelaire admitted he always put banknotes on the suicide victims.
Right.
So, he saw Mr. Gilbert lying there from an apparent suicide, placed the banknotes in his pocket, then realized Gilbert wasn't dead and stood over him and shot him, thus creating a bullet hole in the money.
Well done! Here's your clothes.
Where's my underwear?
What, I can't keep a souvenir?
Fine, keep them.
Wait! You're supposed to ask me about next week's episode of Sherlock Holmes.
I'll tell you about next week's episode. An announcer who comes to Dr. Watson's flat to hear stories about Sherlock Holmes, but instead is routinely humiliated by a young blonde girl, murders her, and no one ever finds her body!
Spoilers! The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes aired from 1939 through 1950 for a total of 374 episodes. The series had several sponsors along the way, and our episode of The 00 was sponsored by Petri Wine. In order to weave the sponsor's promotion into the series, the show was bookended with Dr. Watson telling his adventures directly to the Petri Wine spokesman, simulating Watson's narration in the original Holmes tales. Of course, the sponsors on the radio series were definitely not subjected to dealing with someone like me. Hey everybody, it's Madison. Thank you so much for listening. Okay, real quick. Sign up for my free newsletter to get previews and cool Madison stuff at madisonontheair.com. Now listen to our credits, you guys. This cast worked really hard. You should know their names. Go for it, announcer dude.
Madison on the Air was written and produced by Chrissy Talon Sage with music composition and audio engineering by Jeremy Sage. The role of Madison Standish was played by Chrissy Talon Sage. Albert Garnica appeared as Sherlock Holmes. Other actors in the cast were David Pinion as the announcer, Marnie Warner as Helen Gilbert, Sarah Golding as Elsa Schrader, Kareem Kronfli as Baudelaire, Andrew Chan as Roger Gilbert, Jeremy Sage as Inspector Garnier, Paul Arabisi as Henrik Schrader, and Di Costa as the casino croupier.
I do blame you, and I also blame you. Thomas, can you stop whistling?